Feldman-Makrias back with you again, and I want to go over something today that is quite near and dear to my heart because I've done this 1,000+ times, probably more than that, and it's how to effectively run an advertising meeting specifically for car dealers. There are certain things that I cover in my analysis that's pretty much universal that can go to any dealer running any type of service for advertising where you can actually find out the insights you're looking for, tell a story, and have things make complete sense for your store so you have actionable insights and items. So without further ado, I'm going to go into it right now, and I have a little Canva doc ready for you on what exactly the agenda and everything looks like. So let's start. So this is kind of the run through. It's right now 6 slides, but it's very, very simple and easy to understand. And why you should be aware of this is because this is the type of information you should be getting from your advertising partners. If you're not, you should be asking for it. And a lot of dealers I deal with are really good at selling vehicles. They're really good at, talking to customers, closing deals, making things work, but sometimes they need a little bit of help on knowing the right things to look at as far as their advertising success goes, especially with all these different platforms and all these different salespeople trying to sell things to them. It's funny. I find that most car dealers, especially if they're successful, they've had to be very good at sales. And usually, anyone good at sales has a low sales threshold to purchase. So, usually, they want to buy things, they want to purchase things, especially if it's going to help them increase their business. But unfortunately, with the dilution of digital and the dilution of accountability in the car dealer space, that oftentimes becomes a hard thing to do and justify. So, in this, I want to showcase exactly what car dealers, marketing personnel for automotive companies, and anybody else too should look at and how to run their meetings accordingly so you get the most actionable insights easily. So, here's how I usually start it off. If I'm talking to you, Mr. or Mrs. Dealer, is there anything you want to discuss first? So I typically go, hey, I have an agenda. We're going to go look at sales, leads. Then we're going to dive into analytics, services, specifically Google Meta, whatever the main spend is in. Typically it's in Google. Other times it's in Meta. Or what are the big components to what we're going to talk about? Maybe it's things like, hey, we need to talk about the website today. Or let me see, other honorable mentions. Website. Maybe we need to look at Meta Business Suite to see if there's any messages not open. Maybe we need to look in YouTube, display, cars.com, third parties, Clarivoy, what have you. So I usually will say, hey, this is what I want to go through. This is how long it's going to take. Is there anything you want to address first? Right? And that usually is really nice for them because it puts them at ease. It puts everybody at ease, and it allows them to get off what's on their chest first. Because a lot of the times, dealers, especially week to week, every 2 weeks, every month, will have things that come up in their brain and want to discuss with their advertising partners. But I want to still control the meeting, meaning, hey, this is what I have to cover, but let's have you do it first. So that's how I start that. And then typically what I always do is I'm going to touch base on sales and leads. I'm going to do that first, okay? And I usually look at everything, all sales, all leads out of their CRM, right? Then I look into analytics. So whatever analytics platform you're using, this would be the way to go. I typically default to Google Analytics 4 because it's just what we've been using forever. And then after that, I'm going to go into the actual services, starting by the biggest spend or the biggest priority. Usually those are similar, but in most cases, it's biggest digital spend on Google and then Meta, and maybe there's some other honorable mentions like maybe we need to make tweaks to the website and so on and so forth. So that's typically how I'll run through it, and I'll try and cover the easy action items first. Oh, and I forgot one bullet point, outstanding items. So if there's anything outstanding that's on our plate that we could just get quickly out of the way, I like to do that first before getting into sales and leads, because sometimes, depending upon who's in the room, I will lose people. Not everybody likes to hear all the numbers and stats and all that stuff. So that's okay. But here's what it typically looks like. So let's say we're skipping whatever the dealer wants to go over first, and we're skipping any outstanding items. Let's go a few slides in of pretty much what I cover all the time in an easy snapshot. Page 2. This is going to be the sales, the sales stats, right? So here's what I have. Notice I have 3 screenshots. This is out of a CRM, and I'll tailor it to whatever CRM the client is using. So MTD. Okay, so make this a little more explanatory. These are usual 3 screenshots that I choose. I like to incorporate 3 date ranges so we can compare metrics, see how we're pacing, so on and so forth. If you've watched my channel for any period of time looking at analytics data, I usually do a month to date through yesterday approach, meaning today is October 15th. Then I will do a report on October 1st through 14th. I don't want to do October 1st through 15th because today is not done. We don't have full data of today. Yeah, it makes it a little bit harder to track things and run reports, but that's the way we like to do things because it's the most accurate that we possibly can. So, and of course, my dealers think about things in terms of the month. So they understand, okay, we got to go through the month, right? So, for example, month to date through yesterday is here. LM MTD stands for last month, month to date through yesterday. And then 2M MTD stands for 2 months ago through month to date through yesterday. October 1st through 14th, just in this day example, this is not the actual data from that, but this would be October 1st through 14th, September 1st through 14th, and then August 1st through 14th. And I'm going to look at the main numbers. So the first number I'm going to here is sold units. This one says 91 sold units. Okay, comparing that to last month, we had 77. All right, we see an improvement. Great. And then did it hold true to further back? Oh, yeah. Okay, 2 months ago, we sold 80. So, hey, we're actually up in units. Awesome. Let's take a look at some of the other key points here. Let's look at internet ops because that's something that we can help control. 1159, awesome, compared to 756. Okay, we're up in internet ups. And then compared to 883, all right, we're up in internet ups all the way through. Excellent. And I can keep going down each and every box, but I'd like to hit on sales in ups or sales in overall leads because those are things, sales everybody's judged on, right? And internet ops, that's something that I directly influence. I don't directly influence BBACs or TOs or demos. I want to do things that I influence, right? So, but I also have to keep track of sales. Everybody cares about sales, right? So that's usually how I'll start. Then we're going to continue to paint the picture. So let's go to slide or page 3. And this is a leads report. Okay. So I actually create custom pivot tables. My team and I do because it gives us real-time insight. And notice when I zoom into this Excel spreadsheet, this is, I wish CRMs had better visuals and better date range comparisons, but most of them don't. And that's why we use this to look at the numbers. But I use the same nomenclature everywhere: MTD, LM, and 2M MTD, right? So I could say month to date through yesterday, last month, month to date, and then 2 months ago, month to date. I forgot the MTD over here, but that's okay. So I use the same nomenclature throughout all of my comparisons to show an even date range. And I like to break it up by not only lead source, but lead source group if they have them grouped, because oftentimes KBB ICO, right? Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash Offer may have mobile, but they may have desktop, and it all falls under Kelly Blue Book. So it actually keeps the leads and everything super organized, right? So we can see all the different numbers, all the different metrics, and this has the most, honestly, these 2 reports capture the dealer's attention so quick because this is what they count on. I don't have it here, but not only do I have lead source group, lead source, and then the 3 different date ranges is compared, but I have a total at the bottom through everything, so you can see where you're at with total leads, month to date, last month, month to date, and 2 months ago, month to date. All MTDs will be month through date through yesterday. And here, this is why I look at it. So this dealer was doing good as an example, and they didn't do any increase in marketing, but I found that their auto alert program generated 301 leads this month, where it was only 58 leads last month and 77 the month before. So they did an auto alert campaign. It did not tell us. We use that as an advantage for the agency to actually know what's going on in the store. And some people in the meeting may not all be involved either. So you're actually educating everybody by grouping everything on the same page. So that's why I do that. The leads report is extremely important. And then I'll tailor the conversation like, okay, Dealer Inspire is our website, right? And a lot of digital ads are bringing people to the website. So let's actually see how the website is converting. So on and so forth. So now we'll go to page 4, And this is Google Analytics. So, Google Analytics, I've talked a lot about Google Analytics on this channel, but this is the screen I usually default to. My date range is blocked off in this report, but I also do a typically month to date through yesterday versus a previous month to date through yesterday comparison. That is what I did in this instance, but I blocked out everything to keep this data anonymous. We only can look at numbers. And notice I'm in the acquisition and user acquisition report. So I could see, awesome, by source medium, Google Ads is my number one total traffic driver of total users, then Google Organic, then direct, so on and so forth. And then as I scroll left to right, I'm going to see events, key events, overall engagement, and things that are actually happening on the website by channel. And that's usually where I start. There's a couple of analytics reports that I get really into. But I don't typically start there. I start here because it's just an easier bird's eye view for everyone to gather around and get. So that's analytics in a nutshell. And it's nice because I could say, oh, wow, okay, total users in this example are Google Ads brought in 5,800 total users compared to 7,300 last month. Last month, did we have a budget change? Well, we lost 20% in new users. Why did we lose 20% in total users? Now let's go to Google Ads and figure out what's going on, right? And that's how I start to tell the story of what's exactly is happening. Okay. So if we follow that trail of breadcrumbs, now look into a Google Ads screenshot. And Google Ads is similar. Again, I'm all about the numbers. I'm drilling, starting from the most important numbers and then working my way to the most outer complex numbers to make insights, actionable insights and changes quickly. So I noticed in this situation, this is actually the same Google Ads screenshot from this analytics. It's directly correlated. And these are all of our model campaigns, which were down. And I found that this model campaign specifically, when compared in my different date ranges in the same time period, this was down 71% in overall traffic. Why? Because we found that our competitor got more aggressive. And that's why we have less traffic to the website from our main traffic source. And that's why our Dealer Inspire leads shows more of the same rather than equal, right? So it all starts to tell a story together, and it shows what exactly we need to do to actually drive better engagement and better metrics. So that's why I have everything open at one time, so I can go between different screens and tell the story, right? After Google Ads, whatever my main subject of the conversation is, or whatever my main service is that we're doing for them or spend. After that, I typically have open. After that, the final slide that I always have open is the budget. And the budget usually goes on whatever cadence that we've set. Usually monthly, can happen quarterly, not usually more frequent than monthly, but monthly. So with that, so this is an example spreadsheet that we have laid out. We'll go over the budget. I like Google Sheets because it's easy to share. It's easy to understand. We don't want to make it too complex for our clients. We'll line item each item. We'll have subtotals. We'll have justification points. This is how we'll go into each thing to make sure everything's working coherently, cohesively. We'll go through each line item actually every month, and that way we give the client, if they want, the time to actually look into everything, see what the result is, see if we should keep it, cancel it, what have you. And that's usually what we do. I have dealers that spend anywhere from a couple thousand a month to 150,000 plus a month. Just depends on what their initiatives are, what their results are trying to get, and how aggressive they want to be. So, but I always have budgets open like this because that actually showcases, okay, this is what we're charging you, and it reminds them. We don't always go over it, but I always have it accessible, and we go over it at least once a month. So that's it. Those are the typical main things I hit in a meeting. It keeps meetings pretty quick, agile, fun, easy, and painless, and we're ready to go. So as a conclusion, what we have is I always have sales stats ready to go, not only through the current time frame, but comparison time frame, so we can see how we're pacing. Then I'll have lead stats, again, time frame established with comparison time frames to see how we're pacing with leads. And then I'll have Google Analytics, which is website traffic, because we influence it. Again, time frame established with comparison time frames, and then I'll have the primary service or whatever service I want to talk about that day with all the ads open with time frames established and comparison time frames as well. And then finally, we'll have the marketing budget. So as you can see, I deal with numbers all the time. I'll get into creative and things like that, and A/B tests, but these are typically where I start. This is where the data actually gives the insights and stories to what we're talking about, and that is how to successfully lead a car dealer advertising meeting. Pay attention to the numbers. Start out with the most important, which is sales, then leads, then traffic, which I like to equate as internet traffic, and then whatever is driving that internet traffic as far as what that return is. And then finally, a marketing budget. So, hope this helps. Leave me some comments if you like it, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much, everybody. David Feldman-Makrias. I'll talk to you real soon.